ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agha. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan.
Magandang araw po sa lahat. Hope everyone is okay. Malakas po tayo lahat. Positive pa din sa life in spite of our situation. So ako po si Aleli Plete from the Regional Cooperation and Training Section of the Technological Services Division of ITDI. Ako po ang moderator, facilitator nyo for this webinar. And with me is Sir Mark as my technical partner. So, again, good morning, and let me just check our chat box kung sino-sino po yung ating mga kasama for this webinar. So, good morning po kay Sir Kiban, sa Sinugba, sa Balay, good morning. Kay Ma'am Irene, Ma'am Marizel, Ma'am Princess, hello, good morning. Ayan, kay Ma'am Wenny, kay Sir Vicente, yan, from Laguna po sila. Others ay, I think from Bisaya ito, from San Pablo. Yan, good morning everyone. So today po, our topic is about vinegar processing. So vinegar, popularly known as suka. Ano po, mas kilala natin ito as suka, lalo na po sa Tagalog. Ano po? So it has several uses and mostly sa food po ito ina-apply or very popular din po ito as sausawan. So it comes in many variations or flavor. So everything about suka or vinegar will be presented to you by our resource speakers from the raw materials down to processing. And also, a simple business opportunity plan will be presented to give an idea for those who would like to start a business in vinegar processing. Okay. So, before we continue on with this activity, I would like to remind a few things. Ito naman po ay lagi natin i-remind for us to really enjoy this webinar. So, check your audio and internet connection. Ano po? Para po maiwasan yung ating mga any interruptions. And then, kindly use the chat box. So, dyan po sa ating platform, you will see a chat box. You will put all your questions po in the chat box, and those questions will be answered by our speakers after the presentation. And, okay, so malinaw po ha, use your chat box. And just to give you a brief detail about DOST or the Department of Science and Technology, DOST is being led by our Secretary Fortunato T. De La Peña. So, ang DOST po is composed of different agencies. So, you will notice po siguro yung ibang agency like DPWH, DepEd. Pag po sinabing DPWH, DepEd, isa lang po yan. Pero dito po sa DOST, it is composed of so many agencies. So, we have, we call sectoral planning councils, tatlo po yun. And then 2 collegial bodies, 6 SMT services, nariyan po yung Pag-asa, nariyan po yung PHIVOX, yan po, sa DOST po yan. And then 7 research and development institutes or what we call R&D, ano po, institutes. So nariyan po yung ITDI. And then yung ating pong regional offices, meron po kung baga po sa may mga branches kami all over the country. And then yung ating provincial science and technology centers per province po yan. Ano po? Okay, so in a bird's eye view, nakita nyo po kung gaano kalawak yung DOST po. Yan. So as mentioned kanina po sa slide ko, ang ITDI po ay kasama sa 7 R&D institutes ng DOST. So we have ASTI, so ito po yung mandated to conduct research sa Information and Communication Technology. And then yung FNRI po, more on sa food and nutrition. FPRDI, sa forest products naman po ang concern niya. MIRDC, sa metals po, industry. PNRI, nuclear research. PTRI, ang textile industry naman na kanyang concern. So, yan po yung aming mga RDIs. At yun nga po ang ating Industrial Technology Development Institute or ITDI. Yan po yung agency namin. Okay. So, the Industrial Technology Development Institute is led by our director, Dr. Annabel V. Briones. And to know more about ITDI, let me present our institutional video.
Tracing its roots back in 1901 from the then Bureau of Government Laboratories, which became the Bureau of Science, the Department of Science and Technology, Industrial Technology Development Institute, or DOST ITDI, turned 119 years old on July 1, 2020. From basic researches to mapping of the country's flora and fauna and other local resources for scientific studies, DOST ITDI has been a vital instrument in establishing the research and development agenda in the country. It was 1958 when the Bureau of Science became the National Institute of Science and Technology, NIST, that industrial R&D started gaining ground while harnessing local resources and skills towards self-sufficiency and optimized productivity. Industrial R&D went full gear in 1987 when the NIST was renamed Industrial Technology Development Institute, focusing on 4 major functions: research and development, technical services, technology transfer, and custodian of the national units of measure to provide international traceability. DOST ITDI Research and Development covers 5 major areas: food, environment and biotechnology, chemicals and energy, material science, and packaging technology, all aimed at supporting and answering the needs of local industries. Complementing its R&D are its technical services, standards and testing, national metrology, and technology transfer, aimed at harnessing local industries' productivity and competitiveness, and translation of developed knowledge or innovation into the production sector, paving the way for new businesses or startups. As well, DOST ITDI innovations serve as springboards for businesses to thrive and prosper. In support of the administration's thrust in addressing the COVID-19 pandemic, DOST interventions are anchored on the theme, Agham at Teknolohiya, Sandigan ng Kalusugan, Kabuhayan, Kaayusan, at Kinabukasan. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, and when most of the country was in enhanced community quarantine, DOST ITDI bravely rose to the call of duty, distributed ready-to-eat foods such as the Pack of Hope and Mungbean Cocoa Milk Drink to our frontliners in Metro Manila and other regions in the country, produced face shields via 3D printing and donated these to hospital frontliners, developing prototypes and 3D printing critically important parts of hospital equipment, and improved design of N95 masks to better protect the frontliners. The Institute is also providing interventions for our displaced countrymen who lost their jobs and livelihood by making training available online whenever necessary. And even before this pandemic, DOST ITDI innovations were critical in rehabilitating communities that experience calamities and even war and make them whole again. DOST ITDI has been preparing for an innovative ecosystem for new knowledge and technology to thrive and help make us ready for Industry 4.0. DOST ITDI aims to achieve kaayusan and ascertain the future or kinabukasan through its initiatives and help businesses in every Filipino adapt to COVID-19 under the new normal. State-of-the-art facilities are being established. Construction of the Simulation Packaging Testing Laboratory, SPTL, and Green Packaging Laboratory, GPL, is ongoing. At the SPTL, stress conditions that affect products during transport are simulated that can help mitigate losses during distribution, while produced products can be processed and packed in a green packaging laboratory. AMSIN, or the Advanced Manufacturing Center, DOST's 3D Printing Technology Center, is a joint project with Metals Industry Research and Development Center, MIRDC. ITDI focuses on developing multiple 3D printing materials from local materials to reduce cost. Halal Food Research and Development Facility. With this facility in place, the Institute hopes to develop new food products that are compliant to halal standards and as well support DOST as it responds to Republic Act No. 10817, or the Philippine Halal Export Development and Promotion Act. Enhancement of the competence and capabilities of the National Metrology Laboratory of the Philippines. Expertise and facilities are being upgraded, and construction of laboratory facilities for metrology and chemistry and biology are now ongoing. It is envisioned that the animal will provide the country with credible measurements and traceability in the fields of physical, chemical, and biological metrology. And with the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic, DOST response has been decisive. With the support of President Duterte and the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, the DOST will establish the Virology Science and Technology Institute of the Philippines, or VIP, to be constructed at the new Clark Economic Zone in Capas, Tarlac. The VIP shall be pursuing priority virology research and developing diagnostic kits, therapeutics, and vaccines for diseases caused by viruses, where DOST ITDI will have a critical function.
From laying the groundworks for science and technology in the country, the Industrial Technology Development Institute of the Department of Science and Technology, through the years, which turned 119 last July, has been consistently providing innovations to industry to help make them competitive, emerging as a credible industry partner. The Institute has been instrumental as well in mitigating hazards and improving the lives of disaster victims and communities to rise again. With so much optimism with this cooperation and bridging of talents and expertise, we look forward to enhance science, technology, innovation, competitiveness, and the emergence of new research and development capabilities that hopefully will translate into new products and services that meet the current and future needs of our nation and the people.
All right, so thank you for watching our AVP. So now that you know more about us, so flash in your screen is our address, contact details. So if you have queries about our programs and services, just send us a letter addressed to Dr. Annabel V. Briones, our director, or you can call us through these numbers shown in your slide, or you can visit our agency, okay? And we will connect you to our appropriate divisions concerned. So before I continue, let me just again say good morning to everyone from dito sa ating mga taga ISO Davao, from Zamboanga, from Bataan, from Laguna, Cebu. Good morning po sa inyong lahat. From Manila, Makati, sa ating mga academe na kasama dito, from the academe, from the companies, private individuals. Good morning po sa inyong lahat. Hindi ko na po kayo maisa-isa pero good morning. Of course, dito sa ating mga kababayan sa Batangas. Ayan, good morning. So I hope you have screenshot yung ating contact details sa ITDI. Ayan, so at this point po, let me introduce our resource speakers for this webinar. First is Ms. Christine Ann S. De La Cruz. She is a graduate of Master of Science in Food Science at the Auckland University of Technology in Auckland, New Zealand. She is also a graduate of BS in Chemical Engineering at the Fiati University, Manila. So currently, she is a Science Research Specialist too at the Food Development Section of the Food Processing Division of ITDI. She is also a certified Halal Lead Auditor and a certified Food Protection Manager. Next naman po is Mr. Bienvenido Flores Jr., a graduate of Master of Science in Food Science at the University of Santo Tomas, Manila. He is also a graduate of Bachelor of Technology, major in Nutrition and Food Technology at the Technological University of the Philippines, Manila. So he is currently a Science Research Assistant at the Food Development Section of the Food Processing Division of ITDI. He is also a certified Halal Lead Auditor. Okay, so before I turn over the virtual platform to our speakers, let me just remind once again everyone to take down notes, and if you have questions, just put it in the chat box and it will be answered by our speakers after the presentation. Okay, so again, yung pong ating mga tanong, lagay lang po natin sa chat box po. Ano po? Lahat po ng concern nyo. Okay. So, Ma'am Tin, the virtual platform is all yours.
Thank you po, Ma'am Aleli. So, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Welcome po sa webinar natin ngayon tungkol po sa vinegar processing. So, this morning, we will be discussing about the following topics. First, let us know more about vinegar, the different types of vinegar, the methods of manufacture, Philippine standards for vinegar, vinegar processing using the traditional processing procedure, and using the accelerated method of producing vinegar, which is the acetator. And also, we will be showing you the accelerated vinegar production capital investment and business opportunity plan. Next, please. Lahat naman po tayo ay familiar sa suka. So, kasi madalas po natin itong ginagamit sa pagluluto or sa pagkain. So, today, mas kikilalanin pa po natin ang suka. So, ang salitang vinegar ay galing po sa two French words na vin and agar, na ang ibig sabihin po nito ay sour wine. So, ginagamit po itong condiments sa pag-prepare po ng ating pagkain or simpleng sausawan po sa mga paborito nating pagkain. We can easily find these products sa mga supermarkets or any stores of different types. These vinegars could be white, cloudy, or ibang color like yellow, black, or red. Ang suka po or vinegar ay ang liquid na napoproduce by means of alcoholic and acetic acid fermentation na galing sa crops na rich in starch or carbohydrates. So, kailangan po natin ng matamis na bagay para makagawa po tayo ng suka. Ang production po at distribution ng vinegar sa Pilipinas ay regulated po ng ating Food and Drug Administration. Meron po tayong Administrative Order 134 wherein nakapaloob po doon ang quality standards at identity po ng vinegar natin. So mamaya po ipapakita ko po sa inyo kung ano po yung coverage po ng administrative order natin for vinegar. So but the most important po ay masunod po ang standards in terms of acidity and that it should not be less than 4% except for nipa-soft vinegar na 3%. Next please. Marami pong uses ang vinegar. Some of the applications of vinegar are in culinary, medicinal, cleaning, and agricultural and horticultural uses. In general, madalas po na gamit ng suka ay pag-prepare po natin ng pagkain. Pagkain po sa bahay, sa mga food services like yung mga restaurants and catering services. And also, ginagamit din po ito pag nagpo-proseso po tayo ng pagkain. So, ang suka po ay kinoconsider natin na effective natural preservative. Bakit po? Because of the acetic acid content nito and dahil mababa po ang pH nito. Yung acetic acid po na present in vinegar can kill microbes and inhibits food spoilage. So adding common vinegar in your food can not only preserve foods but also help enhance their taste. So madalas po natin itong ginagamit as condiments or seasonings, as flavorings, or in doing pickled products. So, and then another application po ng vinegar is as medicine. Ginagamit po ito as an old-time home remedy or as an antiseptic. Marami na rin po studies na nag-report regarding the beneficial effects of vinegar. And some of the observed health and medical benefits from vinegars are as follows. So nakakatulong po ito sa pag-control po ng blood glucose and sa pag-manage po ng ating diabetes because of its anti-glycemic effect. Nakakatulong din po ito sa pag-control po natin ng diet. So vinegar increases satiety or the feeling of fullness. And then lastly, vinegar can help us fight against infections because of the antimicrobial or antibacterial properties po nito. Another application is for cleaning purposes. So ginagamit ito as household cleaning agent. And because acidic po ito, kaya niya pong ma-dissolve yung mga minerals na nakadeposit sa mga glasses or any smooth surfaces. So ginagamit din po ang vinegar for agricultural and horticultural management. So ginagamit po siyang herbicide which is considered as organic since from natural sources naman po ang pag-produce ng suka. Next slide please. So moving on, there are different types of vinegar. Next slide. So there are several types of vinegar produced around the world. So bawat isa po ay may kanya-kanyang characteristics in terms of flavor na unique. Nakadepende po ito sa raw material and process po na ginagamit. So ito po yung unique characteristics na ito ay nakadepende din po sa location, sa klima, at kultura na meron po tayo. So in the market, these are types of vinegar that we have depending on the sources and kinds. First, we have vinegars from grains such as sake leaves. So from malt, from unpolished or not unpolished rice and rice. And then next, we have vinegar from fruits. These types of vinegars, hindi na po kailangan ng additional flavoring because yung flavors na inherent po sa mismong fruit stays or remains in the final product. Some of the fruits that are processed into vinegars are apple, grapes, coconut water, pineapple, sugar canes, mango, banana, and many more. We also have vinegars from spirits or distilled. Ito po yung mga vinegars na napoproduce po from acid fermentation of industrial alcohol or by distillation po ng vinegar. So nag-undergo po ito ng distillation process. And then lastly, meron po tayong synthetic vinegars. Ito pong alcohol ay gawa sa pinaghalong diluted solutions of non-food grade acetic acid with water and cloudifier which is deemed to be adulterated and not safe. Next slide, please. Dito po sa Pilipinas, yung availability and type of raw material play an important role sa paggawa po ng vinegar. We are blessed po because we have a variety of agricultural products in our country. Meron po tayong traditional vinegars. These vinegars are produced from materials that are abundant to a specific area. So kung ano po yung raw material po na saganap po sa lugar natin, yun po yung ginagamit natin. For example, in Northern Luzon, we have vinegars that are made from sugarcane or tinatawag po natin itong sukang Ilocos. Sa Central Luzon naman po, meron silang nipa, tinatawag naman po itong sukang paumbong. Or sa Southern Luzon, Bicol and Mindanao, gumagamit din sila ng coconut sap or sukang tuba, and nipa sap, sukang sasa or sukang nipa. Ganon din po sa Mindanao, coconut sap and nipa sap din po ang kanilang ginagamit. So, other sources of vinegar that have been tried at a small scale include fruit juices from pineapple, tomato and cashew, and starchy materials like rice, corn, and cassava. Next slide, please. Okay po. Now that we have a bit of background po on vinegar, ngayon naman po pag-aaralan po natin kung paano po ba ito ginagawa or pinoproseso. Next slide po. Meron po tayong tatlong methods ng pag-produce po ng vinegar, and ito po yung traditional, improved traditional process, and also involves commercial production. Next slide po. Sa traditional method, tinatawag po itong let alone process. So bakit po? By the name itself, hinahayaan lang po natin ito mag-ferment on its own. So meron po tayong substrate. Ito po yung fermented sugar natin. Nakalagay po siya usually sa ceramic jars, bottles, or plastic containers. Then, hinahayaan lang po natin ito mag-proceed sa fermentation from sugar to alcohol. So in some cases po, naglalagay po sila ng yeast para mapabilis po. Then continue lang po yung conversion ng alcohol to vinegar basta nasa safe at malamig po na lugar ito. So ito po ay matagal na proseso. Sometimes it would take 1 month to 1 year to complete the process kasi nakadepende lang po ito sa initial load po ng microorganisms, ng acidity and exposure po sa air and ambient conditions. So with this method po, the quality is not uniform. Hit and miss po ang procedure na ito. And generally, this method has a relatively short shelf life. So mababa po ang shelf life or itinatagal ito. So usually mga less than 6 months po. Kaya mahirap din po ito makapag-compete sa market kasi ang requirements natin ay as follows. Yung FDA regulations, at least 4% ang titratable acidity niya. But most of the traditional vinegar, 3% lang po yung nakukuhang titratable acidity po nito. So dahil po doon, hindi po natin maaaring i-produce ito into commercial scale, and it also becomes an exotic regional or provincial product po natin. Next slide, please. So vinegar production takes about 4 to 15 weeks to complete and to obtain 4 to 5% acetic acid. So ang process po, it involves yeast fermentation of coconut water to produce an alcoholic solution. So second, it is then further fermented into vinegar by means of the so-called acetic acid bacteria. So the process is carried out simply by exposing to the air the partially fermented coconut water with the starter containing the acetic acid bacteria. Next slide po. Next, we have the improved traditional process. So yung traditional process po, kasi na-discuss po natin kanina, ay uncontrolled. So meaning hindi po consistent ang quality in terms of the sensory characteristics, and hindi rin po consistent yung acidity ng suka na napoproduce po natin. So dahil po doon, nag-recommend po yung mga eksperto po natin sa science community ng simple technical procedure para makagawa ng standardized vinegar. So, ito pong method na ito ay improvement po ng traditional process. And these are the following. So, first, yung material or substrate po natin for fermentation is checked for its total soluble solids. So, ito po yung sinusukat po natin, yung tamis ng substrate po natin ng isang bagay. And then next, yung total soluble solids po ay ina-adjust po natin to 12 to 15% by addition of sugar or other source. So next, this liquor is pasteurized. So iniinit po natin ito para ma-eliminate yung mga unwanted microorganisms. And then cooled and a fresh batch of yeast is added. And then lastly, mother vinegar is added to this liquor from a previously prepared batch. So in terms of product quality, repeatability, and rate or bilis po ng fermentation, this process is much better than the let alone process or the traditional process. Next slide po. The last method of manufacture is by commercial production. So dito po sa Pilipinas, yung mga manufacturers or producers po ng suka ay nakaklasify po into 3 main categories. So namely, first, those that produce vinegar by traditional method. So para mapabilis ang fermentation rate and makapag-produce po ng magandang quality ng suka, yung traditional na process, ginagamitan din ng mga modifications sa kanilang mga processes. And then next, those who buy fermented acetic acid and produce their own vinegar by mixing procedures. And those that only produce fermented acetic acid using the large-scale fermenters, utilizing the distilled alcohol and distribute it to vinegar manufacturers. Sa commercial scale level, para po ma-ensure po ang large production po ng vinegar, so gumagamit po sila ng fringe type acetators or also called acetator cavitator. So dito po mag-invest ka po talaga sa equipment. And then actually, meron pong fourth group, ito yung mga manufacturers na nagproduce po ng suka na pinaghahalo yung mga non-food grade acetic acid, water, and cloudifier, which is very hazardous practice. So itong practice na ito ay kalat po sa mga small scale operations dahil unang-una hindi ito nagre-require ng mamahaling equipment. Hindi mo rin po kailangan ng high level of technical knowledge and mas malaki ang kita compared sa fermentation process. Next slide po. So when it comes to commercial production, nasa-satisfy naman po ang mga regulations set by the FDA. So the use of 10% fermented acetic acid diluting to 4% titratable acidity. And as mentioned, they use large-scale and expensive equipment, which is not practical po for our local manufacturers of vinegar. Next slide po. Gaya po ng na-discuss natin kanina, there are some illegal preparations involved in commercial production. Gaya ng paggamit po ng concentrated acetic acid, like synthetic materials and non-food grade materials. Next slide po. So, okay, let's now move on to the Philippine standards for vinegar. So, the commercial production and distribution of vinegar in the Philippines is regulated by the FDA, DOH, Department of Health. So, kailangan makontrol po and ma-maintain po ang standards and quality ng vinegar na pinoproduce po natin dito sa Pilipinas. So, nagkaroon po tayo ng law under DOH Administrative Order Number 134, Series of 1970. Although as of now, pinag-aaralan po ang standards for vinegar dahil po sa revelation ng Philippine Nuclear Research Institute that most commercial vinegar brands use synthetic acetic acid, which is harmful to the body. So the Food and Drug Administration is currently working on this and will update the country's vinegar standards. Next slide po. Ito po yung coverage ng PNS po natin based on DOH AO134 for vinegar. So dito po makikita nyo nakadefine po ang meaning ng vinegar and distilled vinegar. So pwede rin po ang mga optional ingredients like ng caramel as coloring in any vinegar variety without label declaration. Another is flavoring na applicable as any vinegar variety, pero dapat applicable po siya sa any vinegar variety, pero dapat nakadeclare yung nature niya sa label. Then we have the quality standards for vinegar. For the acidity, we need to have a minimum of 4% as acetic acid, and except for the NIPA, now 3% weight by weight. And then total solids of 1.5% and 2.2%. Then may maximum limit lang po in case po na present po ang ash and other heavy metals like lead, copper, arsenic as shown in the table. Then according po sa PNS, dapat ang vinegar natin ay walang presence ng synthetic acetic acid and cloudifying agent. Next slide po. So before we proceed with the vinegar processing steps, gusto ko lang po ipakita yung basics po ng vinegar production. As you can see in the slide, sa paggawa ng natural na suka from materials containing sugar, meron po tayong dalawang stage ng fermentation process. And then para po sa flow, ang matamis na bagay, pag nilagyan po natin ng yeast, makakapag-produce tayo ng alcoholic solution. Then gagamitan po ng bacteria which is the acetobacter or acetic acid bacteria para ma-convert yung alcohol into vinegar or acetic acid given the sufficient oxygen. So yun lang po yung basic natin for vinegar processing. And that's the end of my presentation. Let me turn over the virtual floor to Mr. Bien Flores for the detailed processing steps for vinegar production using the improved traditional process and with the use of acetator. Thank you po.
Okay, magandang umaga po ulit sa inyong lahat. Ayan, so itutuloy ko po yung discussion natin sa pamamagitan po ng pag-share ko sa inyo ng mga nagawa po naming improvements sa vinegar processing, especially sa traditional processing method at using the acetator kit sa pag-produce ng vinegar. So before that, I want to share to you simple basic GMT guidelines before we proceed or processing sa ating product. Panoorin po natin ito. Ayan po. So napanood nyo na po yung basic GMP. So dapat tandaan po natin bago tayo proseso ng pagkain. So dapat po natin isundin yung binigay ko pong basic GMP, which is wearing hairnet, face mask, gloves, kung maaari, pwede rin yung mga rubber boots. Ayan, before we proceed to processing. As well also na i-ano po natin, i-ensure natin yung mga pagproseso natin o yung ginagawa po natin produkto ay standardized siya. Tapos sinusunod po natin yung mga procedure na sinet natin na standardized procedure para makaproduce po tayo ng good quality na produkto. Ayan. So ngayon po, proceed na po tayo sa pag-produce ng vinegar. Ano-ano ba ang mga materials na kailangan po natin? So unang-una, kailangan po natin is yung kung ano po yung gagawin po nating vinegar. For example po, nakalagay po dito sa aking presentation is coconut water. Ayan. So pwedeng gamitin po natin different kinds of fruits. Ayan. So yun, ang ginamit po natin is coconut water. So next is refined sugar. Next, we also use the active dry yeast. So, or ito yung mga readily available po sa market, yung mga baker's yeast na tinatawag o yung ginagamit po sa paggawa ng tinapay. Kasi before, medyo may kahirapan po talaga maghanap ng yeast for vinegar. So, as an alternative, we can use the active dry yeast o yung mga baker's yeast na tinatawag. Then we also need mother vinegar. Importante po ito, yung mother vinegar. So ito po yung tinatawag po nating starter vinegar. So readily available na po ito sa market para sa pag-produce natin ng vinegar. So next po, mga kitchen utensils such as measuring spoon, measuring cup. So importante po yung dial thermometer. So kailangan meron po tayo nito dahil ito yung gagamitin po natin sa pag-monitor ng temperature ng ating vinegar. And next is the weighing scale. So sunod po natin mga materials na kailangan, yung stainless steel na stock pot or any food grade na plastic drum, pwede po, or any mga stainless container. Ayun. So ang mas maganda po yung mga gamit natin ay mas ensure natin na lahat sila ay stainless steel. So wag po natin gamitan ng aluminum because magre-react po yung vinegar natin sa aluminum. So make sure na lahat ng gamit po natin sa paggawa ng vinegar ay made from stainless steel. Ayan. So kailangan po natin ng cheesecloth and the steam jacketed kettle, or kung wala ho tayong steam jacketed kettle, pwede naman po yung mga mga stove, yung mga ordinary stove, ayan, or mga heavy duty stove. So ayan po yung mga materials po natin kailangan sa paggawa po ng ating vinegar. So proceed po tayo sa procedure. So first step, so proper selection of materials. So it should be fresh coconut water. So pag sinabing fresh coconut water, so raw materials must be clean, free from filth and any contaminants. So dapat malinis siya, wala siyang mga husk from the bao. Yan. So para ma-ensure natin na wala siyang mga filth, so mas maganda we use cheesecloth to strain yung mga mga foreign matters. Ayan. So next step po is weigh and strain. Ayan. So dapat po timbangin po natin lahat ng mga gagamitin po natin. Naka-weigh po siya dapat. So para makuha po na pag sa end ng ating product, yung end product po natin, so makakapag-compute po tayo. Gagamitin po natin yung mga timbang na yun sa costing po natin. Ayan. So initial and final weights of raw materials should be determined. Strain the coconut water using cheesecloth. So yun, kagaya nabanggit ko po kanina, igamitan po natin ng cheesecloth para masala po natin yung mga dumi galing po sa habang hina-harvest natin yung coconut water. Step 3 po, so mix coconut water with sugar. So given po kanina sa mga materials natin yung amount ng mga gagamitin po natin. So we have we need the 8 cups of coconut water. So lalagyan po natin siya ng 1 1/2 cup of sugar. Yan, so ganun po karami. So i-dissolve po natin yung 1 1/2 cup of sugar sa 8 cups of coconut water. So yun po yung magiging basehan natin if ever na mag-expand po tayo. Pwede po nating padamihin po yon with that small amount. So kaya po nakasukat po siya. So after po nun, ma-dissolve po yung sugar sa coconut water. So para mas ma-ensure pa po natin na malinis or wala na pong tutubong ibang mikrobyo doon. So mas maganda po kung ipapasteurize pa natin siya para to ensure na yung tutubong mikrobyo or yung pag-ferment natin sa vinegar natin ay yung gusto lang po natin na mikrobyo. Yan. So pasteurize natin by heating at 60 to 65 degrees Celsius for 10 to 15 minutes. Yan. So after po nun, palalamigin po natin siya. So dapat po after pasteurization, dapat po yung ating yung coconut water natin dapat maligamgam. Yan. So kumbaga mga at least 40 degrees Celsius or kaya na po ng skin natin yung init. Kasi pag masyado pong mainit, lalagyan po kasi natin siya ng yeast. So possible na hindi mag-grow si yeast kasi masyadong mainit. So mamamatay po siya. Yun. So dapat po enough po yung heat. Kumbaga maligamgam siya to be able to grow yung yeast na ilalagay natin. So itong portion po na ito, this is alcoholic fermentation. So place the pasteurized coconut water in a clean container. Lagay natin siya sa stainless pot or any food grade na plastic drum. Then lalagyan po natin siya ng yeast, half teaspoon ng yeast. Tapos i-mix lang natin siya ng konti, tapos tatakpan na po natin siya. It's better to cover it with cheesecloth, tapos i-wrap natin siya ng rubber. So yun po para hindi po mapuntahan or makontaminate yung ating alcoholic fermentation. Lalagyan natin siya ng rubber para kasi po yan na-attract po dyan yung mga flies. So to avoid that, so dapat siya, yung nakatali ng rubber yung ating cheesecloth para hindi po makapasok yung mga langaw. Yan. So allow to ferment for 2 to 3 weeks or until there are no more bubbles of carbon dioxide formed. So this is the alcoholic fermentation. So yun, malalaman po natin kapag okay na po yung ating alcoholic fermentation kapag wala na siya masyadong bubbles, tapos maaamoy niyo po yung presence of alcohol. Yan. So yun po yung dalawang paraan para ma-determine po natin na pwede na po yung ating alcoholic fermentation. So ulitin ko po, unang-una, maamoy natin yung presence of alcohol. Pangalawa is yung wala nang bubbles o konti na lang yung bubbles na present sa alcoholic fermentation. Ayan. So after po ng alcoholic fermentation, so ang next step po natin is decanting. So decant the alcoholic solution to remove the yeast and other solid materials. Ayan. So kung makikita nyo po, yung mga sa alcoholic fermentation po natin, may mga precipitate po yan. So mas maganda pag i-decant natin siya. So hayaan natin siya mag-settle sa ilalim. So tsaka natin siya i-harvest yung liquid sa ibabaw without disturbing the precipitate. So mas maganda kung is using siphon. Sa-siphon natin siya para makuha natin yung alcoholic fermentation natin. So yung pasteurization po, so this is optional. So pwede nyong pasteurize or pwedeng hindi na. Yan, depende na po sa inyo. So next step po is mag-proceed na po tayo sa acetic acid fermentation. So yan po. So from our alcoholic fermentation, so magdadagdag po tayo ng 2 cups of mother vinegar or vinegar starter. Yan. So tapos ilalagay natin siya ilalagyan natin, mimix natin yung mother vinegar sa alcoholic fermentation natin, tapos i-cover ulit natin siya ng cheesecloth, tapos may rubber to proceed ng fermentation natin ng acetic acid fermentation. Ayun. So set aside for 1 month or until maximum sourness is obtained. For the development of desired aroma and flavor, allow the vinegar to age in barrels or earthen jars which are filled to full capacity. Ayan. So yung iba po, ayan, fine-ferment sa jars or sa mga barrels to add flavor and to age also. So yun po yung natin, acetic acid fermentation. So pangalawang fermentation na tayo. Next po nun, kapag na siya, maamoy na natin na maasim na siya, proceed na po tayo. Pwede na natin siyang harvestin. So with that, pagka-harvest nun, ipapasteurize natin siya. Pasteurize natin siya at 80 to 85 degrees Celsius to kill the microorganisms before bottling the product. So yan. So ang purpose natin kaya natin siya ipapasteurize is to to stop the fermentation and to kill microorganisms before bottling. And so yon. So that is to stop the acetic fermentation. So after po nun, ma-pasteurize natin, we can proceed now to bottling. So pack in sterilized bottles or packaging materials and label and store. So yun po yung pag-produce ng traditional method. So we proceed now po sa pag-produce naman po ng vinegar using the accelerated method or the acetator. So number 1, same with the traditional method, so kailangan po natin is yung raw materials na gagawin po nating vinegar. Dito po, ang ginamit po natin is coconut water. So, raw material must be clean, free from filth and any contaminants. After po nun, after nating makuha yung raw materials natin, so adjust na po natin agad yung total soluble solid niya o yung TSS. So ang sa vinegar, pag-produce po kasi ng vinegar, dapat po ang TSS ng ating raw material ay 12 to 15 degree Brix. Yan, tandaan po natin yan. So to be able to do that, so ganito na po ang ginawa namin para mas madali na po sa mga magpo-produce ng vinegar. So provided na yung coconut water natin is 85% coconut water, so magdadagdag na lang po tayo ng 15% sugar. Yan. So ayan po yung ratio niya. 15% sugar, 85% coconut water. So kapag minix po natin yon, makaka-produce po tayo ng 12 to 15 degree Brix na TSS sa ating coconut water. Ayan. So halimbawa, kung meron ho tayong 85 kilos na coconut water, so magdi-dilute tayo ng 15 kilograms na sugar. Ayan. So yun, ganun po kadali. So kung makuha na po natin yung TSS niya, proceed po ulit tayo sa pasteurization. So to ensure na malinis yung ating coconut water. So wala pong tutubong unwanted microorganisms. Ang tutubo lang po is yung yeast na ilalagay po natin. So pasteurize natin ng 60 to 65 degree Celsius for 15 minutes. Then, papalamigin po natin siya hanggang 40 degrees Celsius. Yan po yung nabanggit ko kanina. So, dapat yung ating coconut water, dapat kaya ng skin natin yung init. Bago po natin i-mix yung yeast. Ayan. So, next step po, proceed na po tayo sa alcoholic fermentation. Yan. So given the coconut water, so for example, we have 100 kilograms of coconut water. So coconut water plus sugar, 100 kilograms po siya. So lalagyan po natin siya ng 1 tablespoon na active dry yeast. So, tapos, yun po, i-ferment po natin siya for 1 to 2 weeks. So, this is alcoholic fermentation. Yan. So, malalaman po natin yung alcoholic fermentation natin kapag okay na siya kung yun nga po, yung presence ng bubbles unti-unti na po nawawala. And also, yung amoy po niya is naamoy po natin yung alcohol. Ayan. So, ayun yung alcoholic fermentation po natin. So, after ng alcoholic fermentation, proceed na po tayo. Pag okay na yung alcoholic fermentation natin, we can proceed to acetic acid fermentation. So, paano po ba yon? So, ganito po yon. So, from 100 kilograms of ating alcoholic fermentation, magdadagdag po tayo ng mother vinegar. Gaano po karami? Ito po, nakalagay na po sa presentation ko. Ang ilalagay po nating mother vinegar ay 20%. Ayan. So kung meron tayong 100 kilogram, so 20% ng 100 kilogram na alcoholic fermentation, lalagyan natin ng 20% mother vinegar. So, yun. Tapos, yun na po yung ating acetic fermentation. Pag paghalo na po natin yung mother vinegar, tsaka nahalo na natin yung mother vinegar sa alcoholic fermentation, proceed na po tayo sa ating next step. Introduce na po natin siya sa ating acetator kit. Ayan. So makikita nyo po, we have the series of acetator kit. Ayan. So dito po natin ilalagay yung ating alcoholic fermentation na may mother vinegar. Ayan. So allow to ferment or condition into the acetator for 1 week. Ayan. Monitor the air pressure setting. It should be between 5 to 15 PSI. Yan po yung yung pressure ng air ng ating acetator. Ayan. Kasi during acetic fermentation, kailangan din ng microorganism ng clean air. So yun po yung ginagawa ni acetator. So nagpo-produce siya ng clean air. So with this acetator, hinihasten po niya yung acetic fermentation. So ito po, so sa unang paglagay natin or pag-ferment natin, so nakalagay po condition into the acetator for 1 week. So sa una lang po yan, 1 week. So para ma-condition po yung ating acetator. So after 1 week, makuha na po natin yung ating desired titratable acidity, which is 4% to 5%. So we can harvest na yung ating vinegar. So yun po. Paano po natin makukuha yung titratable acidity na 4%? So paano natin monitor po yung vinegar kung okay na ba yung titratable acidity niya, kung naka-reach na ba siya ng 4, yan. So by checking its TA or titratable acidity, so pwede na po natin i-harvest yung vinegar. Yan. So ito po, pakita ko lang po sa inyo yung simple checking the TA or the titratable acidity. Kung paano po pag-measure or paano po pagkuha ng simple titratable acidity. Panoorin niyo po ito. So yun po, ganun po yung natin, simple titratable acidity measurement. So yan, makita nyo po, kapag okay na po yung sa titration, so dapat po hindi na mag-change yung color. So yung light pink, pagka ganon, yun na po yung endpoint natin sa titration. Yan. So ngayon po, proceed na. So after ma-monitor na natin yung TA niya, so proceed na ho tayo sa harvesting. Yan. So after reaching 4 to 5% TA o kung ano po yung desired nating titratable acidity, so we can harvest 10 to 20% of the volume. So or simply ganito na lang po, na kung halimbawa yung nanggaling po tayo kanina sa 100 kilograms na acetic acid fermentation, pwede po nating harvestin yung 3/4 po ng drum. Halimbawa, ang isang drum po natin, it contains 100 kilograms na acetic acid. So, pwede na po nating i-harvest yung 75% niya. So, magtitira po tayo ng 1/4 sa drum. Ayan. So, from 100%, harvestin natin yung 75%. Tapos, matitira po yung 25% ng acetic acid fermentation. Kasi kaya po natin tinara yun po yung magiging starter po natin sa susunod nating alcoholic fermentation na ilalagay. Yan. So, ulitin ko po, pagka-harvest natin ng 75% ng vinegar, so may matitira pong 25%. So, ngayon, kung gaano po karami yung tinanggal po natin na vinegar, so ganon din po karami yung ibabalik natin na alcoholic fermentation. So, dapat ready na po yung susunod nating alcoholic fermentation. Kasi po, iraran lang po natin siya sa acetator ulit ng overnight. So, kinabukasan, pwede na po nating i-harvest yung vinegar natin. So ang matagal lang po is yung sa una kasi yung kailangan po nating i-condition yung acetator natin sa pag-produce ng vinegar. So after a week, yung pag naka-harvest na tayo ng una, yung susunod na nating paglagay or pag-produce ng vinegar, everyday na po tayo mag-harvest niyan. Provided na, syempre i-monitor pa rin natin yung, bago tayo mag-harvest, i-check pa rin natin yung titratable acidity niya, yung TA niya. So kung anong desired natin, halimbawa, ang desired natin is 4%. So pag nakuha na natin sa titration yon, so pwede nating i-harvest yon. So within 24 hours or overnight, kaya na po ni acetator yon. So ganun po kabilis yung pag-harvest natin. So every day po mag-harvest na tayo ng vinegar. So proceed na po tayo. So after harvesting the vinegar, so kailangan natin siyang i-pasteurize. I-pasteurize natin siya at 85 degrees Celsius to stop the fermentation and also to kill any unwanted. Baka during transfer ng ating vinegar, may contamination. So, mapapatay na po natin yung unwanted contamination na yon. So, kailangan po natin siyang i-pasteurize to 85 degrees Celsius. Once na ma-reach natin yung temp na yon, stop na po natin siya sa fire, tapos ready for bottling na siya. Ayan. So, or pwede nyo pong pwedeng hindi na siya i-pasteurize, depende po sa inyo. on how you kung paano nyo po i-market yung inyong vinegar. Kasi po yung kagaya po nung if you're familiar with a certain brand na vinegar, may nakalagay po sa bote niya with mother liquor or mother vinegar. Nakasulat po yun eh. So, ibig sabihin, unpasteurized po yun. Kumbaga, hindi siya pinasteurize. So, may mga, buhay pa po yung, kumbaga, tuloy-tuloy pa po yung fermentation niya, yung acetic fermentation niya. Ayun. So, pero eventually po, magsasubside din po yun. So, kung mapapansin nyo yung brand na yun, tumatabang na po siya eventually. Kasi kumbaga, namamatay na yung mikrobyo or nawawala na dahil wala na siyang makain. Yan. So after pasteurization, ready for bottling na po tayo. Ayan. Lagay natin siya sa desired packaging natin, bottles, containers, or gallons. Ayun. Tapos labelan po natin, then store. Ayan. Yung iba po, kasi ang ma-experience niyo po dito, ano naman po kasi, since na it is organically process, ang problem po dito is yung meron po siyang precipitate sa ilalim. So to avoid that, so before bottling, you can proceed to racking na tinatawag. Kumbaga, after pasteurization, ilagay niyo muna siya sa isang container, sa isang malinis na container, hayaan natin siya doon for few days kasi magkakaroon po siya ng precipitate. So ito po yung mga dead cells or yung mga patay na microorganisms. Pero safe po 'yun. Kasi minsan parang pangit lang tignan na meron tayong precipitate sa ilalim. So to avoid that, so we can use racking method. So para makuha natin is yung clear na vinegar lang. Ayan. So here's the capital investment po na needed po sa acetator production, accelerated vinegar production. So yung aming acetator kit which costs 24,375. Wala pa po doon yung mga drums. So ito po yung mga breakdown niya. So kailangan natin ng mga food grade na plastic drums, air compressor, mga stainless steel na stock pot, weighing scale, LPG burner with tank, and other supplies. So ang total capital investment po natin para makaproduce po tayo ng accelerated vinegar production is 42,875. Yeah. So yun, proceed po tayo. Meron po akong i-share din sa inyo yung mga nag-avail na po ng aming mga acetator kit. Yung mga natulungan namin sa ibang regions na nagpo-produce na rin ng vinegar using acetator. So panoorin po natin to. Ay, sorry po. Yan po. Napanood po natin yung mga nag-avail po ng aming acetator kit from different regions. So now po, proceed po tayo sa Business Opportunity Plan or BOP ng pag-produce ng vinegar. Itong competition po na ito is using the acetator kit. So makikita nyo po is yung mga materials, naka-indicate po at corresponding cost per material. Tapos po, ito pong production na to, so this is a total production cost per week. Ayan, so makikita nyo po yung from the packaging materials, so yung plastic bottles na 250 ml capacity. So makaproduce po tayo ng 600 pieces. So which costs 1,800. So ito po nakasulat kung yung ating total cost of production per week, which is 6,599.29. So from that, we can compute the unit cost per bottle, so which is 11 pesos. So our selling price would be 14.3. Yan. So with the investment cost of operation for 1 year, which is 253,000, so mataas po yung ROI niya, return of investment, which is 65%. So within 2 years, mababawi na po natin yung ating investment. Ayan. So ito po yung ating business opportunity plan using the acetator kit. So tandaan po natin, this is a 1 week production po. So yung ano po, share ko na lang din po sa inyo yung mga determination na ginawa po namin, kagaya ng titratable acidity. So this is only a estimation po yung aming ginawa. So this is a quick test method for titratable acidity. So ayan po kung paano po ginawa yung pagkuha ng TA, tsaka kung paano po siya kino-compute. Ayan. So next naman po is yung paano po pine-prepare yung sodium hydroxide solution na may 0.1 normal. So basta ito po ay estimation, approximate method lang po siya. So hindi siya ganoon ka-precise. So kasi nasa ano po tayo, nasa production. So ano lang siya. So mabilisan po kasi during production ang pag-monitor. So dapat simple estimation is okay na. Pero ano pa rin, dapat pa rin po nating pa-analyze yung produkto natin kapag na-standardize na natin yung procedure natin, may well-bottled na siya, yon. So dapat talaga ipa-analyze po natin siya. So ito naman po is yung how to prepare the phenolphthalein solution. So you can have naman po this presentation po. You can request po ng presentation po namin. Ayan. So ito pong phenolphthalein solution, this is an indicator. So para malaman po yung endpoint natin na pink color, kailangan natin si phenolphthalein. Kasi kung wala po tayong indicator, hindi natin ma-determine kung ano yung endpoint ng ating titration analysis. Yan po. Okay. Thank you po for listening. Stay safe po.
For your inquiry regarding training and other matters po regarding dito sa ating webinar na vinegar processing. I would like to thank po yung ating speaker, si Ma'am Christine de la Cruz. Ma'am Tin, thank you very much for your time po, for your efforts. Ayan. Kay Sir Bien. Sir Bien, thank you for
Salamat
your
po.
sharing your invaluable knowledge po today sa ating mga participants. Maraming salamat po sa ating speakers. And then to Ma'am Michelle Evaristo po na OIC natin sa Office of the Chief ng Food Processing Division. Maraming salamat po. Of course, sa RCTS and TSD family, thank you rin po for making this webinar possible. Okay, so again, thank you po sa ating mga participants, and we hope you continue to support our programs and services and continue to visit our website. Just email us lang po sa inyong concern. And so thank you everyone.
Tumitilaok na ang manok, hudyat na ng pagpasok. Paglilingkod na walang kapalit, sa bayan ng aming